Hello, everybody. We are at the Sungates Center studio with Svetlana, Burak, and one more amazing person by me. Her name is Rasa. And we are, as usual, on Monday, we are talking about thyroid health. The program name is Hear and Be Heard, as usual. Nothing changed. And from San Diego with us, Svetlana Burak. Hi, Svetlana.
Hi everyone, good morning. So happy to be here with you guys.
Svetlana is an integrative nutrition health coach and thyroid wellness specialist. She works with people with thyroid disorder who would like to attract their ideal weight, more energy, and more joy in their life. And recently, you've been certified with something else, something interesting. What is it? Share with us.
Yes, I'm a newly FBL certified thyroid coach, health coach as well.
Great, super. So we are talking today about body and mind connection.
And before we get into it, let me introduce my co-host Rita Board, if I may.
Of course,
She's a certified holistic health coach and graduate of Institute for Integrative Nutrition, a member of American Association of Drugless Practitioners, certified Reiki practitioner. She's a co-founder of Sungates Wellness Center in Wheeling, Illinois, and a guide to a spiritual hospital of John of God in Abadiânia, Brazil.
Thank you, Svetlana. So we are talking about very important things today. It's about our mind, how powerful is that, and how actually our thought can heal us and actually heal others who are around us, not just us. Whether we suffering from chronic disease or just cold, taking a good look at our thoughts is really can improve our health.
Yes, thoughts, feelings, attitudes, all of that stuff is so powerful. All the invisible things that's going on in our head is so incredibly powerful.
Yes, wonderful. And you mentioned that you just find something interesting. Can you share it with us?
Yes, I want to share with you guys and with the listeners some exciting news for me. My husband and I are expecting our second baby.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Super, super exciting. A little bit scary because now we're going to have two. Oh my gosh. That's a whole different topic.
Good.
Yeah, it's actually very relevant because as I was preparing for the show, it made me think about my preparation for the upcoming birth and labor. And this time around, I'm doing something, I'm going deeper into the preparation. And so what I'm learning about is just so relevant to our conversation. So I wanted to share that with you.
Sure.
And that is how our minds are such a powerful influencer when it comes to the process of labor. Now, so there's two different schools when it comes to, labor. That's the obstetrician, approach, right? The Western medicine, and there's the midwifery approach. And these two are so very different in such a way that the obstetric medical model doesn't really look at the mind and how it influences the labor process itself, whereas the midwifery model is just so it's a very obvious aspect. The mind is such a powerful aspect of the process. So, for example, where you give birth, how familiar you're with the people and the place where you give birth, where you actually going through labor, how comfortable you are with the people, how scared you are about the whole process, so all these things that are in your head actually can influence how quickly you give birth, whether you regress during the process. I mean, it's very well known. There's many women who, go through labor and are very close to giving birth, and, they're almost fully dilated, and then something happens and things regress. Well, if, usually if it's an obstetrician, we'll say there's something wrong with the woman's body. Well, no, there isn't nothing necessarily wrong with the woman's body, but usually something happens in the woman's environment. Like, let's say if she's in the hospital, as we know, hospitals are busy, fast-paced, right? If somebody rushes into the room and disturbs a woman, things can regress, in terms of the opening of the cervix. The cervix can close and things can just go backwards in the process, and labor can extend. And so midwives recognize the fact that a woman needs to be in a very safe, very calm environment. She needs to be very comfortable where she is. And very interesting example, actually, to kind of help you illustrate how our body processes work. If you think about going to a public restroom, like to do your business, right? Number one or number two. If you are comfortable, right? If you how you heard of the term shy bladder, for example, right? Some people cannot go and urinate in the public environment where they're not comfortable because they don't feel safe, like it's not their home. Just the things do not open, right? To let it out. That's exactly the process that happens with the labor. Women have to be comfortable and safe and secure, and so I know where I'm going with this. I'm going with the midwife. It's not going to be in a hospital. It's really fascinating how the mind and our beliefs and thoughts about delivery and labor influence the actual process.
All you're talking about is just remind me of the process that we had to go through in the former USSR when I was giving birth. So that environment is just doesn't even go into comparison what you shared with us now, because actually it was more like I don't know, it was stress. It was stress for me because when I was about to have my child, nobody was around me. And I didn't know what to do and what happened and where do I go. Well, I was even walking to the labor, was not taken by somebody. But not talking about bad things. Let's be positive and share the good experience.
So it wasn't a very safety supportive environment at all.
Was not safe. And after labor, we were in a hallway, not even in a room. Some of us.
Wow.
So but everything's fine. Everything is safe. Everybody alive. So let's move on. That's great. That's great. And congratulations, of course, to you with
Thank you.
Yes. And we know it's a boy, right?
It's a boy. Yes, we know it's a boy. 99.5% certainty, so not 100.
Very good. Let me ask my good friend a question since she is here, because she is very intuitive and she's practicing Kundalini Yoga for quite a while. For how long?
3 years.
3 years. Yeah. And you had such an experience with that. Can you share with us how the mind flow change your behavior, change your style of life, maybe even?
It is very interesting to me was because those 3 years ago I was in very, very dark place. I was depressed. I had a depression. I was on a medication. And actually, that time I didn't see myself even living. I was, let's say, at the bottom that I could be. And the last thing I was seeing psychologist, and somebody just recommended me, maybe you can try to do like yoga or something or meditation. And I had 1 week vacation, and actually I went to every single class. every day to different classes to do just to try the yoga. That was my last step, what I'm gonna lose. And the Sunday, actually, it was I got into the Kundalini Yoga class, and it's very different from the other yogas. If the people who know how it looks, and people are in white with the turbans, the chanting, and to me it was totally new world. And I got there and I sat there, and in the beginning they start chanting. And that sound, it was going just totally through my body, and I just got my shivers, and I start crying. And actually, I cried almost whole class, and I never experienced something like this. And I immediately knew that I found something for me. And since that day, I started going more and more into that Kundalini yoga, and to learn more and more. And after some time, after a couple weeks, I started doing daily. Never done any diet, never done any exercises longer than 2 weeks. I was the person who actually wakes up in the morning, the 5 minutes before I need to leave. I get my coffee and I leave to work. And they were. I was drinking coffee at the time. At the time, I was doing a lot of different things at that time, not healthy things. And to me, they were saying, "Oh, you have to wake up right now before the sunrise." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Before the sunrise, me?" and I started, and it totally transformed my life. Totally, I was seeing changes very fast, worked with me very fast. I got off the medication in just a couple weeks and start just seeing miracles of life. And I was just going and never been happier. I start learning about myself, about the world, and it opened totally different dimensions to me. I'm so excited. Right now I wake up every morning like a little child and just looking what's new is coming, what I can experience.
And those changes that you've been through in your life, the experience with yoga help you to get through this, right?
It is that is my main practice, what I do, but with this practice I go into the different, because this is more with work with the subconscious mind. But I use the meditation. I meditate every day, and I learn different things. I have experience Reiki, bioenergy things, crystals. It just opened so much to learn, and I'm just moving forward. And
so what do you believe it about the yoga, the Kundalini yoga, that has made a difference? Do you have a theory of how did it work?
To me, I always was in my mind, and it was too busy for me. I always was all about the drama. I never understood how it works. And because I had anxiety too, with Kundalini Yoga, it is that there is a lot involved in the practice, because you have to have a special posture, special mudra, special mantra, special things like movements. It is a lot going on. That's why it was working for me, because my crazy mind was focusing on extra stuff. It's not just one. For me to sit and meditate, like mindfulness meditation was impossible, because after every Kundalini yoga exercise, let's say you do for 3 minutes and you have to rest for a minute. That was for me the hardest thing, just to sit and rest. And
I hear you.
Yes, we all do.
The scariest thing for me was to close my eyes and start witnessing my mind.
Yeah.
How crazy it is and what's going on there.
So what really helped you is getting out of your mind and of your thinking, slowing that down and focusing on your body, right? More than...
That's how I started learning to listen to my body through the movement, through this one. It was not about, to get to the point to touch the, my fingers like toenails or something like that. It was about the movement, about working with my ego, and I start listening. I start listening what the body says, and it starts, this is my mind, this is my body, this is me. And, first in my practice, I actually separated those things.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, I united them together when I needed that way to go. That's how it was for me.
Mm-hmm. So the yoga experience, it sounds like has a practice of meditation built into it, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of, I think, what was huge for you. And I can relate as well. You were talking about the monkey mind, right? We all have that. And it's the key is to how to quiet that down. And it is hard. It is so hard. And I'm still learning. But there's so many other ways of doing that than just sitting down and meditating. Like for me, it was dancing. I love dance. I love salsa dancing. I get out of my head and I just, it's about the heart and the feeling and the body. That's my way of getting out of my monkey mind. So you don't have to sit.
You don't have to sit.
Of course.
No, you can try if you want to, but if it doesn't work, there's so many different ways. There's walking meditation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Right. There's so many ways.
You just do what makes you happy.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing.
Exactly.
The people ask me too, is this the Kundalini Yoga the only way? I'm like, no, it was the way for me.
Right.
That was but just find what you love and just do it. And that will transform your life.
And I wanted to mention, as we talked last time, I'm all about research, right?
Right. Yeah.
So there's lots of studies on meditation and very powerful results. So, for example, Massachusetts General Hospital groundbreaking study found that as little as 8 weeks of meditation not only help people feel calmer, but also produce changes in different areas of the brain, including areas associated with the memory, empathy, sense of self, and stress regulation.
Mm-hmm.
So powerful.
Yes, amazing. And our mind affects everything. How we eat, how we drink, how we talk to other people. It's all can change if we practice and actually we pay attention to how we talk and how we eat. If we eat slow and pay attention and what we eat, the digestive system is working differently. If we would just rush and go in the car whenever we are.
Absolutely.
So
right, and how we think about food, right? If for example, we include a blessing experience before we start, that changes the whole experience as well.
Yeah,
we try to energize the water. Actually, we tried it here. Like you had experience with that. Yeah.
Yes, we do, and for me, there was a process to learning about self-love, which I was missing a lot. And what I was doing, actually, I was every day, I take a glass of water in the morning. This was the first thing in the morning. And I was thinking to put my love in that glass of water. And I was thinking who I love and how I can create that love feeling at that moment. And to me, I don't have children. And what I really loved, I had cat, which was very, very close to me. And I had the biggest love to that little animal. And I was taking that glass of water and I was, pouring that feeling in that water. And I was drinking that water. And two, I could start seeing pretty fast how I was feeling myself with that beautiful feeling, how I was healing myself. I was again going through a lot of cries and start seeing myself as a beautiful woman, because it was for many years I couldn't see it. I always was seeing negative in me, what I could change, what I could do better. And I just one day I woke up, I did my nails, which I never do in color, and I'm, oh my gosh, I'm pretty. I'm like, I'm really, really pretty. And that again, after changing myself, I could start seeing how my world around me start changing, how people start even changing and new people start coming, who who love me, who I love them. It was you totally creating your reality around you through transformation with yourself, loving yourself first, learning to love.
I love that experience that you shared with the water. And yeah, it's like what you're describing is like you're taking these glasses that are tinted with gray, removing them and putting glasses tinted with pink, shaped in the heart, heart shaped.
Exactly. Your vision changes, yes, because the inside and mind changes. And we talked about Dr. Emoto, his scientific research about water that was, when we talk, energize the water with the good thoughts and loving things. The crystallizing water is changing. It's a beautiful picture, beautiful result we see on the frozen water.
And that's how it is. The thought is a vibration. Yes, and our body is created more than 70% of water. That means every thought, what we produce, what it comes to us, it affects our body. That's how, a motto shows us that's how important is actually to have that hygiene, to clean your mind, to meditate, to go with the good thoughts, with beautiful thoughts, with intention. Intention is very, very important.
Just want to remind our listeners that we are talking on Sungates Radio, and we're talking about connection between our mind and body, and how one can change another, and how the entire world around us change when we change in our thoughts pattern. And everybody can actually text or call us now by dialing. Texting is much better, so we won't hear the ring. 847-345-0988. Or you can ask us questions on Sungates 108 Skype, or just send emails. You can find Svetlana on her website, which is
www.myhealthbeet.com, myhealthbeet.com.
Very good. And Sungates Center or Sungates Radio, where hopefully you're listening to us right now. And we have a guest, most of my favorite people, Rasa, who is practicing Kundalini Yoga for a long time and know from her own experience how changing your mind can help to live happily, right?
Yes.
So a question that I've been pondering, and I'm wondering, our listeners are pondering. We can use our mind to bring about better health, but can we make changes to some of the most chronic, debilitating diseases out there, like things that we're taught that you can't change? Has anybody have experience with that? If anybody wants to share?
Of course you do.
I do from personal and stories that I heard. But I'm wondering, from your experience, Rita, with being a guide at John of God's house, Casa, what have you seen and what have you experienced?
Yes, of course. The transformations there happened almost on a second day of arriving. And those transformation, mind transformation, bring the health. Yes, there are people who come with chronic diseases, especially MS or even cancer, and being there, changing their state of mind, bring better understanding of why they got this disease, and with that why get answered inside, that bring the healing. I cannot say it bring the best health possible, but it start on the healing process. and that may happen not right away, not there, even though they can even feel worse, but it's called the healing crisis. But then on their arriving home, something new coming up, and it might be a new way to heal, or they may even go and see doctors. I actually had someone with me who had she had a throat cancer, and she was not seeing a doctor on purpose. She was trying to heal herself just a natural way, but as a John of God and actually entities through John of God are saying we should go in parallel with Western medicine and of course in a doctor, and sometimes even go for the surgery if it's important, if it's the way. So she came back home and she had a surgery, the real surgery, and then she had a chemotherapy and she's fine, she's feeling good. But when she arrived home, she knew that it was safe for her to go and see a doctor and do whatever they recommend because she just know she just knew it at the time that that was important. So definitely, there are cases of that bring healing. That state of mind bring healing, of course.
Yeah. Some of the most fascinating cases I read actually in Mind Over Medicine, and I shared with you this book last time by Lisa Rankin. She is an MD who was traditionally trained in the Western medical model to believe that our health is all body-based. There's really no mind involved. But when she became ill herself and turned to Western medicine, not only did it not help, but she got worse. And so she turned to researching other methods of healing and found a lot of scientific actually based evidence that mind is so powerful and can actually heal the body. So she talks about one of her sections, she talks about spontaneous remissions from some diseases that you would never think you could actually have a remission from ever. In fact, there's a database out there. There's a project compiled. It's called Spontaneous Remission Projects, and you can even find it online by Carol Hirschberg and Brendan O'Regan with annotated bibliography of 3,500 references from more than 800 journals in 20 different languages, documented cases of medically unexplainable diseases, right, going into remission. So, for example, HIV positive person becoming HIV negative, right? I don't know of any cure for HIV, at least not in this day and age. There's no medical cure, but this is happening. One woman with untreated metastatic breast cancer had breast, lung, and femur tumors that resolved spontaneously. A plaques blocking men's coronary arteries disappeared without treatment. Men's aneurysm disappeared. A man with a gunshot wound in the brain recovered with no treatment. A woman with cardiomyopathy and heart failure got better. A woman with thyroid disease experienced a spontaneous cure. So, wow.
Well, we've been through this. We've been through this, and you and me, and we know that's from first hand that changing the mind can heal everything. I believe it. I believe it can change everything around you. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
But it's very it gives me hope. It's really exciting to know that, yes, I have so much control over my body, so much more than I thought. And it's just really can change your life. It's fascinating.
Yes, wonderful. Wonderful. Do you think that your thought pattern changing your child behavior? Did you? Yes?
Absolutely. I think our children can really sense what's going on. First of all, whether we speak about it or not, whether we're arguing with our spouse or whether we're just thinking thoughts that are not, very positive. But I definitely notice, that children are very, very sensitive to these kinds of things. And then, so we have a lot of control over our children's behavior by how we behave and how we feel inside. And then we can teach them by modeling,
Of course, by example. Yes, of course.
How they can have control over their mind and body, their health. And one of the examples I shared with you, also from Lisa Rankin's book, and her recommendation is that to teach our children, as soon as possible, as soon as they can understand, is that it's not the doctor that's going to fix them. It's them. They can heal their body, by using language like, oh, oops, you hurt your knee, but it's okay. Your body is going to heal your knee. It's not going to be now. It's going to be the Band-Aid that's going to heal the knee. It's going to be your body's going to heal it's going to heal itself.
Right.
So it's the language that can be so powerful.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's wonderful. And we know a lot about placebo effects. When patients were given just the sugar pills instead of medicine, and the effect was the same or even better than for other. So science really, really on the side of that.
Yes. That experiment that I shared about the knee surgery, where the subjects were divided into two groups, and one group was the control group, so they did not receive an actual surgery, but they did have an incision made to make it look like they had a surgery, and the other group was the actual surgery group. And they looked at the results, and both groups had the same results, meaning 1/3 of each group experienced great improvements. They were able to walk again. They did not experience any pain again. So placebo effect, which is what the mind power is, it really is real, and it works. Another way mind can work is, in a negative direction too. If you're suspecting things and you're starting to think of things that might be wrong with you, you might start to experience those things. I have experienced this myself when I was studying psychology in my grad school. We were going through all the diseases, psychological diseases in the book, DSM-4. And, I'm reading through all the symptoms, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I have this, and I have this, and I have that. So it's a very common phenomenon for students who are studying psychology or even in medical school to start thinking that they have those diseases and start experiencing those things.
Actually, it's what I've heard the people are doing now. They have a symptom or something, and they go online and start reading about it. And it seems like all the symptoms are for me. So I have this disease, and it started from there. Do you have an experience with that?
That's actually very common. Like you said, I went to medical school too, and I had every single disease what we were going over to. Okay, I have this, and that. And with my recent experience was, how our mind works. Let's say there was one person who said, you are not good enough. And I was watching how my ego and mind is working with this. And it took actually 9 people to tell me how good I am to actually balance it out. And that's how I see it's very, very important what we give to this world, how we say, how we, especially like you said, with the kids or with the labor. In my childhood, I grew up with those horror stories, with the hospitals, how you're going. And it's really rare who tells you, how beautiful it is to give a birth, to see the child for the first time, to do it. And actually, at the medical school, I experienced it myself. I saw the birth, and that was unbelievable experience to me, that you understand kind of how it is, but when you experience it, it's totally different. Like the life person comes out of the it's unbelievable. And there is a lot of lack of this in our society to bring the beauty of the life, the good experiences. We talk a lot about negative. That's why it was a time that I stopped actually watching TV, because when you look at there is so much violence in those movies what we watch, and there is very limited love show, like beautiful stories. There is so much blood and killing people, and that's how I see how creates our society too, because
I agree.
we should change it. And by this too, seeing how we create, how we do, how we teach our kids, and how we talk. First you're learning with yourself, then you start to bringing around your world little by little. It's like if you want to change the world, actually you do change yourself and your family, and that it spreads and spreads and spreads.
Absolutely.
Wonderful message. I think that's great, and we can actually conclude with that. Is there anything, Svetlana, you wanna say to our listeners that will bring what the message?
I think, be very conscious of who you surround yourself with.
Exactly. Yeah.
From friends to doctors, even, or practitioners. If you're not comfortable with your practitioner, for example, who you go to and you're afraid what they're going to say because they're always negative and they don't really give you much hope, I think that's a big sign. Find somebody who can be realistic, but at the same time positive and give you hope, because there's always hope no matter what situation that you're in. And that's one work that we engage in coaching, and with you in yoga, is we are there to empower you in your mind to believe that there is hope, that there is
and miracles
yeah.
miracles, and we should believe in miracles, and miracles happened
every day.
They
You start seeing them, and more they come.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That was great to talk to you all, and I think well, we already said that Svetlana can be found at my healthbeets, right?
One day, it's okay. One day, it's my healthbeet, BEET.com.
I'm sorry, yes. And well, we wish everybody great things, great miracles, and more joy and fun. Just do whatever you like to do and have fun with your life. Thank you. Thank you, Svetlana. Thank you, Rasa.
Thank you.
And we'll see and hear everybody next Monday, same time, 10 Pacific and 12 Central.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for sharing this time with us, and we look forward to next week on Monday.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye, everybody.